After almost a full year, I've returned. That's right, it's been 11 months since I uploaded the review of the hit 2008 film Kung Fu Panda. So, I think we're ready for a new series on this channel, 25 books in 2025. This was a challenge I set for myself at the beginning of January. This YouTube series will help me keep accountable for if I actually reach my reading goal. Here are all the books I read in January. Most of these books are pretty small, but combined, the word count is, I think it's around 175,000 words, which is really good for me because I'm a pretty slow reader. I will be ranking these books by my least favorite to my favorite. First book we have is Legend by Marie Lu. This book is like a YA dystopian book that heavily reminded me of stuff like The Hunger Games. I enjoyed all the books I read this year, but by default, this one has to be my least favorite, even though it's a really great book. Like most young adult novels, this one's pretty fast paced, which is actually something I liked about it. It was like super fast paced, and it felt like a blockbuster movie you'd go see at the theater during the summertime. But I really enjoyed it. It's again like a dystopian book. If you're into that stuff, you'll probably like this. My biggest complaint about this is that it feels like the beginning of a story. This is part, I think, one of like a 3 book series. So it feels like part one. Definitely feels like part one, and it feels incomplete without part two. And I wasn't satisfied with some of the stuff in this because there wasn't or I haven't bought and read part two yet. But again, this one's a pretty quick read. I think I read this in like 10 days. There's how many pages in here? There's 295 pages in here, so that's pretty slim for most books. But actually, something I did like about this is that it has 2 main characters, and each chapter alternates between the 2 characters' perspectives. So I think that's really cool. I always like when books do that. I think that's super cool that they alternate between the characters' perspectives, and I actually enjoyed the characters enough. I didn't think they were poorly written or anything. So yeah, this one's pretty good. I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. Next up, way back in 3rd and 4th grade, I read The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and The Prince Caspian. And I remember enjoying those books back in the day, so I thought I would give the rest of the books a read. So up next, I have The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. This is book 6 in the Chronicles of Narnia, release date order. That's the order I'm reading them in. And I really enjoyed this. This is basically about how Aslan built Narnia, which is such a cool idea, by the way. And it's not often we see fantasy writers literally build the world in front of you, literally building it in front of you, not just world building, but building it in front of you. What I love about this book is that it's like a break from the narrative, and it's almost like a side story. Like if you watched a TV series and there was like a lost pilot episode. That's what this feels like. And so you're just watching the pilot episode, and everything beautifully ties in to the rest of the series at the end. It's also a super quick read, which I like about the Narnia series, and I know it's intended for children, which also gives it that whimsical feeling. So yeah, this one's pretty great. I'd give it maybe I'd also probably give this a 7 out of 10. Coming in my number one spot of January 2025 is The Horse and His Boy. This is book 5, I think, in the Chronicles of Narnia series, and it is very, very good. This is my new favorite book in the series by far. It's a great story. It's an in-universe story. So all the Narnia books are people that, I think they're all from London actually, go to Narnia. And this is different. Starts off with a farm boy in, I think, Archenland. I can't fully remember. And he goes to Narnia. Archenland is in the same world as Narnia. It's just a different country. Sorry, I was totally wrong about that. He's from Calormen. This book also gives me some of my favorite characters in the series so far, and honestly, probably one of my favorite depictions of Aslan. This book also ties into the rest of the series, if you're wondering. The art cover for this looks so vintage. This is kind of a beaten up copy. My neighbor actually sold me this copy, but it's so... I just love this art cover. What I love about this book is that it follows a farm boy, an average farm boy, traveling to Narnia with a talking horse, which is such a cool idea. There's a lot of talking horses in these two books, which maybe C.S. Lewis had a thing for talking horses. I don't know. But talking horses end up being the best part of both books, so I can't really complain. Another thing I like about this is that it builds out the actual world of Narnia so well. We learn about so many of the other different countries that we didn't really get to focus on in the other books. One of my biggest complaints for the Narnia series as a whole is that when you're reading the individual books, you could probably stop in the middle of the book and guess what happens for the rest of the book, and you'd probably be right for most of them. They're pretty straightforward stories, so if you like that, that's great. But sometimes that's not always my thing. And this definitely is not a straightforward story. If you stopped in the middle, try to guess what happened in the rest, you probably couldn't. There's a few like twists and stuff in this, especially at the end. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that this wasn't as straightforward as the other books. This one's like an 8.5 out of 10. So I read 3 books in January 2025, so that means I'm on track for 25 books in 2025. So The Horse and His Boy was my favorite book in January 2025, but I actually started another book that I won't finish and I'll finish next month, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird. I have to read this book for school, and so I wasn't very happy about that because a lot of the books I've read for school aren't very good at all. But this one I very much enjoy so far. I came into this book thinking it was going to be a courtroom drama. I've been totally wrong so far. Basically, it's just like these two kids running around town, their little town, causing problems and talking to townspeople. And it's a lot about the townspeople themselves, which is interesting. And so I think that'll play in the later part. This book does a great job of investing you into the characters and the setting. I'm super invested every time I read this book. I feel like I'm really there with these characters, and these seem like the characters that you would like enjoy to be around in real life. I'm not that far into the book. I'm like 70 pages, which is like I think 7 chapters. So yeah, I'm not super far into it, but so far I enjoy it. I apologize to all the viewers at home. I haven't uploaded in a ridiculous amount of time. I think it was 2 years straight I was doing YouTube, and so I want to upload at least one video a month. Doing some book reviews. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.